Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, bookers. Nigel from Excellent Books, out in the library. We're heading up to the Historical Landmarks of England department. It's a massive steep walk up to it. It's a castle. All'll come clear, lovies, all'll come clear. We're in the gorgeous Derbyshire countryside. And we're heading up to Peveril Castle. Peveril Castle was built in the Norman times. It's mentioned in the Domesday Book, 1066. And contrary to what my two boys and my granddaughter say, I was not around then. I'm not that old. So Grandpa is not as old as Peveril Castle. Why are we here? We're doing a book review / my thoughts on Edgar Burroughs' The Outlaw of Torn. Norman of Torn. So we've come to a Norman keep / castle that he was named after. We'll get up there and I'll do a review of the book while I'm walking around this stunning English medieval ruined castle from 1066. How fucking brilliant is that? Let me get up this path and I'll get back to you. I will get to the book review. But I want to show you as well some of the history that is in England. A Norman keep castle by his name was something Peveril. All of this surrounding land would have been either farmland or woodland for the king to do his hunts and for chopping down trees and oak trees and for building. And Peveril was the king's lord for this area of Derbyshire. Now in the book Outlaw of Torn, I've brought you here because he's named after the castle of Torn, but there's no actual castle down a little bit further south that could be from around the time period that the book is set in. But this castle is. So did Edgar Burroughs come here and was inspired by this castle? Who knows? Still in Derbyshire. It's the right time period. So when this school party of little kids has gone, I'll take you for a quick walk around there and then I'll go through the book. We'll sit on that bench. We'll sit on that bench and I'll do book review. How's that? With Norman Castle behind us. I mean, you can skip through this if you're not asked, but you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of flies about. Good grief. I've come far too overdressed for this as well. I've come in my Homeland Security top. Geronimo and all his merry gang. So here we have The Outlaw of Torn by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Painting cover by Frank Frazetta. Don't want to burn my head, do I? So what's the book about? This is going to be a non-spoiler review / my thoughts of the book. I read it, and something I've never done before, I read it straight away afterwards. Unbelievable. But let me get my notes out. Jesus. So with my notes, Outlaw of Torn by Edgar Rice Burroughs. It was his second story, his second novel, first printed in 5 parts for a magazine, and it was printed in a book novel form in 1927. It's historical fiction, but it is very, very loose historical. You know, you can see the start of Edgar Rice Burroughs' characters. A exceptionally well-built young man who can fight like the devil. Good-looking, eloquent, intelligent. 2 of the most beautiful women of the time are obviously going to fall in love with said young man. There's going to be battles. There's going to be an adventure. He's going to get the girl in the end, or is he? And it's the start of all of Edgar's books. Why spoil a good money-making system? So the book takes place, this is all, you can get all this on the back cover or the first chapter. The very short chapters, so I'm not spoiling anything here. So it's taking place in the historical time, loosely, of Henry II to Richard II, which is the Plantagenet monarchs of England, from 1154 to 1485. Well documented historical kings of England. That's the time period that Outlaw of Torn is set in. And it's in the reign of Henry III, who ruled for 56 years, from 1216 to 1272. Now, not like the book, he wasn't a fighter, he wasn't aggro king. He was, from all accounts, historical records state that Henry III was a scholar. He would have got other people to fight you. He's the King of England. He would have been able to use a sword, but not very well from historical records. And he gave a lot of the power of England and the kings up to the nobles around him, because he was quite a weak king. So, Peveril Castle, where we are now, is one of England's earliest Norman fortresses and was built in the main outer wall and various other bits was built in 1176 by Henry II, who the book is based at the time of. So we're in the right castle, in the right time period, a little bit north by maybe 50 miles to where the book mainly is set. So what's the book about? It's a story of revenge lasting a lifetime, 19 to 20 years. And in the story, there is Henry, and he has a quarrel with Simon de Montfort, Earl of Leicester, who was another real person, very powerful landowner, and I think he was the cousin of the king, something like that. This is all historical fact. So they have a sword fight. He storms out, because King Henry's known for it. He storms out and he's full of aggro, and he's got his hangers on there who egg him on to fight the master of fence, it's called, who was the fencing master and, of the time. So the king and his master of fence, Jules de Vac, he is a lord, he's French, have a sword fight. And because Jules de Vac is French, he cannot let the king beat him. He can't, he's too much of a French fancy. So he disarms the king. So the king is just so incensed by this. He spits on de Vac and calls him a French dog, which absolutely incenses de Vac. And the ongoing revenge is set about, and he swears to himself he's going to get revenge on the king. So later on, this is all in the first and second chapter, so I'm not spoiling anything. De Vac is thinking of ways how he can get round, how he can inflict his revenge upon the king. And he sees little Prince Richard playing. He's only 3 years old, in the grounds below the castle with his nanny, his maid. And of the next few days he watches this, and a plan comes in his head, and he executes the plan. He kills the young lady, he kills the knight that she's waiting to see at the far end of the illicit romance. He kidnaps the little boy prince, and he raises him over the next 19 years to hate the English, absolutely loathe the English. But this young man ends up moving to Derbyshire, the middle England, and living in a broken down Norman tower castle, hence the reason we're here. And he gets trained to be the world's best swordsman, which he becomes, and wreak terror on the roughnecks and the rich that frequent the byways and roads of England. So now we jump forward because I'm not giving away much in this book review, to his 16-year-old, and he gets called Norman of Torn. The castle that he moves into is the village of Torn, which doesn't exist in England. I have looked for it, but all we know, it's in just near Derby, Nottingham, that area. So we're about, as I said earlier, about 40-50 miles at a push north of that, in this gorgeous limestone valley. So that's how he gets his name, Norman of Torn. And he falls in love via a roundabout way with Bertrade of de Montfort. She is the son of Simon de Montfort, who is cousin of the king. And Norman, he's never been told where he comes from. He calls de Vac his dad. He don't know who his mother is. It's obviously the Queen of England. But he doesn't know. He's brought up to hate the English monarchy and all things English. And they go, without giving massive spoilers away, he goes on a rip-roaring adventure across the English countryside. There's two beautiful princesses, obviously de Montfort and another princess, who fall head over heels for this young robber knight, Norman of Torn, who is unbelievable in stature, dashing good looks, eloquent. He can speak French fluently, he can speak English, so they're gonna fall in love with him, aren't they? So he ends up robbing and pillaging the country, and the locals love him because he robs from the rich and he gives to the poor. I wonder what famous story that is. And it is obviously Robin Hood. The similarity, and Edgar Rice Burroughs must have known and read the histories of Robin Hood, which were circulated around the time of 1160s. Whether he was a true character, a fictional character, is all up for debate, but he will have known that story. Surprisingly, there is a priest, Father Claude, who Norman of Torn converses with as much, if not more, than de Vac as a young man coming of age. There's Friar Tuck, who is Robin Hood's master of civility and grounds him, the same as Father Claude does. There's Red Shanty, who is a outlaw in Norman of Torn, becomes one of Norman the Torn's henchmen, and he's of huge stature, an awesome fighting man. And in Robin Hood, we've got Friar Tuck and Little John. Little John is called Little because he's an enormous bloke, and Little John there is a grave in Hathersage, not 15 miles away, in the church that Little John is reputedly to be buried in. Bit of informational for you there. And he's got a sundry band of outlaws with both of them. So the similarities between Robin Hood and Outlaw of Torn are just too much. He must have known of it, and he has obviously taken inspiration of it, and this stunning landscape that he might have visited. I don't know, I've not researched that enough, but I'm not giving any spoilers. It's only 255 pages. You don't even have to buy the book. You can get it off Project Guggenheim and all them. Some of the characters that he's got in the book, so on page 7 he describes Devac, Sir Jules Devac, as lean, grizzled, leather-skinned. And there's a woman that helps him when they've escaped, when he's kidnapped, and she says the daughter of the devil welcomes her brother. It's just, you know, this is what I like about all my books. So I'm just going to read you a few that caught my eye. They're just little snippets of it. So when they come to the castle of Torn, the frowning walls towered high against the moonlight sky beyond, and where a portion of the roof had fallen in, the cold moon shining through the narrow unglazed windows gave to the mighty pile the likeness of a huge, mighty-eyed ogre crouching upon the flanks of a deserted world. For nowhere was there other signs of habitation. He has got a proper way with words, hasn't he? At 15, the youth was a magnificent swordsman and horseman with an utter contempt for pain and danger. So for 50 years, he's been brought up to be a real, you know, soldier, if you like. Let me just... This is where Norman is sat with the priest, and he meets his band, Red Shanty and his villainous crew. As they were seated in the priest's hut one afternoon, a rough knock fell upon the door, which was immediately pushed open to admit as disreputable a band of ruffians as ever populated the sight of man. I mean, that's a bunch of roughnecks if ever there was, aren't there? And they're out for blood. Obviously they don't get it. So they're escaping a castle, because it's adventure, innit? It's Edgar. So he's rescuing one of the princesses that he's fallen madly in love with him. "This be the castle's crypt," whispered Joan, "and they do say that strange happenings occur here in the still watches of the night, and that when the castle sleeps, the castle's dead rise from the coffins and shake their dry bones." Well, we've been up in the coffin underground there, and it's pretty wet. You can imagine it, that passage where they're creeping under the subterranean vaults of the castle that they're caught up in. So we've got the culminating. The events are all coming to a head now, and should I read this? Because it's a bit of a giveaway. I'm not going to read that one. I'm not going to read it. I'm not. But it's a story as well, not only of, you know, revenge and coming of age and the greatest swordsman of the world. It's a story of the prodigal son as well. And you can tell that by the last. And it is ever thus, whether in a hovel or a palace, in the days of Moses or in the days that be ours, the lamb that has been lost and is found again be always the best loved. That's the prodigal son coming back into it. But we don't know whether Norman of Torn, in his red tights and his red cape on his black charger, make it. Get the book, read it. It is well worth the read. There's historical parts of it, references to other stories, and it is just brilliant. So we're in the new hall, and the bloke's just told me he sees the herringbone pattern in the wall there. Down the bottom there. There's more over that end. So this is one of the few castles which has decorative walls of the time period. So anyway, that's me in the library of Peveril Castle. Done a quick review of Norman of Torn by Edgar Burroughs. Buy it, download it, however you get it. It's a quick weekend read. You'll love it. If you're into historical fiction, just going through the entranceway here, look. Historical fiction and adventure. You'll love it. Anyway, folks, I will see you on the next one. We've got to go down to the village now. And we will see you in the next instalment, whatever that is. Remember, stay gorgeous, keep reading, and I'll see you in next. And like, subscribe, share. Ta-ra, folks.